Good morning. Our topic is issues of aging, making your own decisions, memory care on today's edition of Senior Moments. Brought to you by Santa Clarita Senior Resource Alliance, a group of professionals dedicated to providing resources and services to help the elderly and their families in Santa Clarita and surrounding areas. Good morning. I'm Laura Smith, and I'm here with Curtis Woods.
Good morning, Laura.
Good morning. And we are here today with our guests, Dr. Jill Brink, gerontologist with Aging Interventions, and Mary Dembowski, marketing director of Oakmont of Santa Clarita. And at the end of our show, we're going to be speaking with Brian Welch, senior walk manager for the upcoming Walk to End Alzheimer's, and he'll be giving us the lowdown on that.
Awesome.
Okay, great. Dr. Brink, let's talk about Dr. Jill Brink. She's a leading geriatric and dementia care specialist, academically trained as a gerontologist. She received her BS, MS, and PhD degrees from the University of Southern California. Dr. Brink has focused her practice as a professional geriatric care manager on the assessment, care, and support of older adults. And Curtis, can you tell us a little bit about Mary?
We have the privilege of hanging out with Miss Mary Dembowski, who has lived in Santa Clarita Valley for 20 years, 8 years of experience working with assisted living field as a sales and marketing manager. She's currently the director of sales and marketing at Oakmont Assisted Living Facility, which is opening early 2016 here in Santa Clarita. Mary's been involved with the Alzheimer's Association as a facilitator of an Alzheimer's support group in the Santa Clarita Valley for 6 years. She is on the walk committee also for the Santa Clarita Walk to End Alzheimer's for the 3rd year, and is a team captain of Team Oakmont. That's going to be awesome. But before we talk to Mary, let's talk more to Jill. Jill, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Tell me, what is a professional geriatric care manager? What do they do?
What do we do? Well, in a nutshell, we help families and professionals by assessing the older adult, and that includes a multidisciplinary assessment. So we look at how they're doing medically, we look at how they're doing cognitively, how they're doing emotionally, what their social needs are, as well as their living skills, what supports are needed in their living skills. We identify needs, and then we address those needs by putting together a care plan of services and support. And then we further help by coordinating and helping to implement that care plan. And then we follow up with advocacy, which is a huge part of what we do, and support for the family on a long-term basis.
Nice.
So, Jill, can you tell me what care plan might be? Maybe.
Well, sure. It really depends on the needs of an older adult. So let me give you an example. Oftentimes I get a referral, I get a call from a family and they say, help, mom or dad, grandma and grandpa, they're having memory problems. I don't know if they're doing so well at home. I live out of state. What do I do? A care manager will come in, and as I said, we do a multidisciplinary assessment. So I evaluate, have they been to the doctor? Are they eating? Are they able to get out of the house? Are they socializing, or have they become withdrawn and isolated? Are they able to prepare their meals? Are they able to have access to their medication? Maybe they don't drive any longer. Maybe they're going through depression. So we assess all of these needs, and then we put together a care plan. So that care plan might include, referrals to an audiologist, and because they haven't been able to hear, and that's what's contributing to their memory problems. Or maybe they need in-home help, so we call an in-home healthcare agency, or non-medical in-home healthcare agency, to help get a caregiver in there to assist with driving and cooking and different tasks around the house and activities of daily living. And then ongoing, especially if family isn't present, I help monitor that older adult and communicate with the family and the other professionals as to how they're doing on a weekly basis.
Right.
So it really depends on the needs of the older adult.
And when you talk about memory care, I'm assuming there's different types. Because I know in the morning, before I get my coffee, I've left my wallet or my keys somewhere, and I kind of get forgetful until my day gets going. Now that's a different type of forgetfulness or memory care issue, rather than what may be medically kind of connected to Alzheimer's. Is that correct?
Right, exactly. And what's important to remember, there are a lot of changes in memory as we get older. I mean, heck, our bodies change. overall, we move slower physically, we're less flexible physically. Well, the same thing happens with our mind. And these are normal changes. It takes a little longer to remember things. You know, we have a little more mental rigidity. Sometimes it's more difficult to change a thought process or to, you know, to learn something new. But it can still be learned, and that's the key. So, for instance, if you forget someone's name, that's a normal change with memory. But if you think hard enough, you can find, you know, you'll remember what it is. Or if you forget where you put your keys, if you retrace your steps, you usually can find those, you know, whatever you've misplaced. Someone with Alzheimer's disease or in the earliest stages might not be able to use that method of retracing their steps.
Right.
There's no aha moment with Alzheimer's disease. There are other things that we look for. When oftentimes people who are still working have difficulty in the workplace multitasking or managing projects like they used to. That's symptomatic. If you forget, you know, a meeting or something, that's less problematic. But when you forget how to, you know, access a computer system at work that you've used for years, that is an issue. It's normal sometimes, you know, to become disoriented, to walk out of the mall and say, oh my gosh, where did I put my car?
Right.
Someone with early Alzheimer's might walk out and forget where they are, that they even drove to the mall, that, you know, they actually had their car there. So it's a little different.
Right.
You know, it's okay if you forget it. This happens all the time, and especially when doing public speaking, it's not easy. But sometimes we forget a word. We're looking for a word, and it's on the tip of my tongue, and, you know, I can't get it out. So that's not worrisome. What's worrisome is when someone with early Alzheimer's might, you know, look at their toothbrush and not be able to identify what a toothbrush is, but they know it's something that they put in their mouth and go like this.
Right.
That type of language problem is more problematic. There's issues like with judgment. Yes, we have all had, you know, maybe we've made a bad investment, and so we doubt, have we lost our business acumen? Are we still making, you know, good decisions with our money? Especially with the stock market, that sort of thing isn't worrisome. But someone in the early stages of Alzheimer's might give away large sums of money that they might not even have.
Right.
Or they might invest in sweepstakes or these other, you know, more scrupulous, you know, less scrupulous investments, so to speak. But there's a lot of people out there taking advantage of older adults. So that becomes more problematic. It could be, you know, people with early Alzheimer's disease often become very socially withdrawn. Now, it's okay if you don't want to go to a function at work or a family function just because you're tired or whatever, but people in the early stages of Alzheimer's will start to withdraw from activities that they really enjoy on a constant basis. And then people with early Alzheimer's in the earliest stages become very irritable. Now, we all have our bad days when we're feeling down or blue or irritable, but people in the early stages of Alzheimer's, it might be at a drop of a hat, they start crying, or it's ongoing suspiciousness and paranoia. And it comes from the because there's more confusion. And so they're unsure of everything. They might start, you know, accusing their spouse of cheating, and there's no foundation for it. So those are some of the differences between normal changes in memory and what we see in the earliest stages of Alzheimer's.
Now, earlier you mentioned about how when we get older, our bodies are less flexible, and I wrote down mental rigidity. I like that. I don't know if my 7-year-old and my 9-year-old have mental rigidity when I tell them to do something, but that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
But when we get older, people say walk more, exercise more. Are there things that we can do to help prepare our minds and brains and memory for the expected aging things that happen?
Definitely. And, you know, there's nothing, it's the same thing you've been hearing, whether it's to help prevent cardiovascular disease or cancer. You have to keep moving. You have to exercise. You have to break a sweat.
So exercising helps with the mind also?
Definitely.
Awesome.
Anything that helps the heart is going to help your brain. They've seen that there is a heart brain connection there. Whatever keeps your heart healthy will also keep your brain healthy.
Which includes your nutrition, and anything you put into your body.
And it's the Mediterranean diet. By and large, that's the diet that they have found has been most helpful for the heart as well as the brain.
What is the Mediterranean diet?
It's lean meats. Limit the beef and the other types of meats, but stick to poultry and fish. Lots of nuts, healthy oils like avocados, olive oil, and lots of fruits and vegetables and lots of whole grain. I mean, and limit your sugars. So.
are there also like memory exercises? Or does it get down to like flashcard or?
Well, anything that stimulates your brain. So you have to keep learning. It's important to keep learning. And this might be going to school, but it can even be learning a new hobby. It's also staying socially engaged. When you become withdrawn, say you lose a spouse or you lose the ability to drive, so you're staying at home more, it has deleterious effects on how well you're thinking when you're isolated. Social stimulation is also great cognitive stimulation. Being out, being with people, whether that's in a senior center or you're one of your social organizations or wherever it is, volunteer. It's important to stay stimulated socially, to keep stimulated intellectually, and keep exercising. Also reduce stress and get enough sleep.
Right. Sleep is something I think we can all use along the way, right?
Definitely.
If I could just throw one more thing out there. So I'm assuming as a person's going through this, it could be kind of challenging for the adult children taking care of mom or dad that are exhibiting these symptoms. I'm certain that there has to be extra set of patience, or there may be a best practice on how to tell mom or dad that, you know what, you're exhibiting these particular symptoms and maybe we need to start thinking about memory care.
Yes.
Have you seen that that's been difficult for the adult children?
You know, it really depends on the family dynamics. I've worked with some families where they've always had open communication. So when the older child comes to the parent and says, Mom, Dad, I'm a little concerned, I think we need to go see the doctor. And they receive it well. Other times, because they don't have that type of relationship, or because there's other dynamics involved, there's more feeling there's more resentment, there's more closure, they're not open to hearing those sorts of things, it's more antagonistic. So it really depends on the family dynamics, but it's so important to get diagnosed early because there's not a lot of, we have some medicines that will slow the progression or treat some of the symptoms of the disease, but it's key to have any intervention as early as possible. So as soon as you start to worry and you see some of these changes in your older loved one, it's imperative that they get in and have an assessment with a medical doctor to try to rule out many of the factors that contribute to memory loss as we get older. There's a lot of things that can be treated that will negatively impact memory that have nothing to do with Alzheimer's.
Right.
So that older adult, if they might not be eating a healthy meal, a healthy diet, there might be some malnutrition, a metabolic problem, a thyroid disorder. It might be due to depression. Might be an underlying infection that hasn't been diagnosed. So there are a lot of things that can contribute to changes in memory that can be treated. Unfortunately, Alzheimer's is not one of them that we have a treatment for.
Right.
Alzheimer's is not curable.
No.
Exactly. Can you tell me, dementia, when people speak of dementia, is that in itself a disease different than Alzheimer's, or can you explain the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's?
That's a great question, Laura. Dementia is just a term that we use it's a general term for disorders that negatively impact the brain, and there are many things that cause dementia. Alzheimer's is the leading cause of non-curable forms of dementia. So dementia is just the general term, and Alzheimer's was the one specific type of dementia.
Probably the most...
It's the most common. Others that you might have heard of are cardiovascular or vascular dementia caused by cardiovascular problems. Huntington's disease, Lewy body dementia is often accounts for about 10 to 15% of dementia cases. That would include Parkinson's disease. Also frontotemporal dementia, normal pressure hydrocephalus. Those are other causes of dementia.
Great. Okay, well, when we come back, we're going to talk more about issues in aging, memory care with Mary Dembowski, Marketing Director of Oakmont of Santa Clarita, and Dr. Jill Brink, gerontologist with Aging Interventions on Senior Moments, and also with Brian Welch about our upcoming Alzheimer's Walk. I am Laura Smith on Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.